Had a busy day today, caring for my new little friend. And I was very conscious about coming here. I need to come here into my special secret garden where I can walk bare feet on the cool lush grass, and I can be amongst all these trees and cloud watch. Now, I don't know whether you guys have ever wondered what on earth is going on up there when you get these bizarre configurations whereby you seem to have a band of cloud and then it gets stretched that way and stretched that way, and it looks like kind of like a vertebrae. So we've got lots of different stuff going on again, and obviously there's wind going on up there, but you know, why is the wind doing that to that, and then why is the wind doing that to that, and then when we look up here, why isn't the wind doing that to that, and then when we look over there, we look what the wind's doing, you know, to that stuff, some of it, and then look at these here. Oh my god, they're just powerful. That's powerful shit, people. So I'm going to come out of the way of the sun so we can really get a good vision of what's going on. Now, it looks like we can see one chemtrail, which is that band which is going over there. And you know, it's spread out and it looks greyish, doesn't it, more than these, and these, you know, just beautiful clouds lurching, stretching across the expanse of the sky. And then when we look over here and we see this one coming this way and that one going over there like that, it's just, it never ever, and look at the one just above the tree, how that one is. It just blows me away. I just love to watch a scientific program which could tell us exactly what's going on there. How is it that you get certain pockets of wind doing this, and then the wind isn't there, and then it's doing something different over here? And I'm telling you now, people, that every time I see this stuff, I do get a godly feeling. It takes me straight back to when I'm on DMT, because you take DMT and look at the sky with clouds and you will know that this cosmos is living. It's sentient, conscious, call it God, call it whatever you want to, but when you experience it, there's no denying it. And oh wow. So I was looking out of my window and I'm like, fuck, I've got to get out in there. What the fuck's going on? What is going on, people? And you know how it changes all the time. Just beautiful, isn't it? Look at this beautiful little garden. Just a little haven, a British haven. And so, I was listening to some dude on YouTube, and he was or is a religious scholar and been studying religion for many years, PhD, and he's wrote, you know, at least half a dozen books. And the last book he wrote is in relation to the Nietzschean Superman. And he studied paranormal experiences for many years. And he says, look, the human being is a very powerful creature. We are capable of many things, and he speaks about people who levitate, people who have all different sorts of out-of-body supernatural experiences and have been doing for, you know, forever. And he's saying, look, for goodness sakes, when is mainstream science going to be accepting this stuff? And then he sort of, he acts like the devil's advocate. And he says, well, the point is, you see, because if modern day scientists really get involved with the spiritual world, like people have been involved for millennia, what will that mean to society? Okay, so we discover that we're spirit. We may discover that we're many spirits. We may learn how to leave our body. We may, be enticed into taking entheogens and experiencing the supernatural. What does that mean to modern day society? It's a very, very peculiar thing, because, you see, the thing is, people, modern society, the world, according to the ego, is a complete fabrication. Many realms of science tell us now that there is no corporeal world. Nothing's real, and it's all energy, and even our senses, our sight and our hearing and our sense of touch, we can't depend on none of it, because it doesn't give us a correct representation of what is out there. So there was a philosopher called Schopenhauer, and he wrote that everything is will and representation. So everything is a representation of something that we knew before, and there's a will that we have that takes us through life. We have a will and a desire and a design. And so we do all this, and we're projecting our representation all over the place as we go. But none of it is as it is, because, of course, quantum physicists tell us that there is nothing here. And I know I've said it 1,000 times, but more and more scientists are actually speaking about it these days. And they are saying, look, science won't go any further now unless they take consciousness into the equation, unless they take seriously what quantum physicists have been saying, that there's no material matter here. But you see, it's a very, very difficult conundrum, because how do we broach that? What would that mean to us if we all started to be educated into our lives are illusory? Would human society melt down? Would people go crazy? Would they become terrified? Probably, because they haven't been educated from the get-go. They've been indoctrinated and propagandized into the world being a corporeal reality, and people being real, and there's no such things as spirits, and God is woo-woo and all this sort of thing. But the fact of it is, people, everything is spirit, everything is pure consciousness, everything is God. And where do you go from there? What do you do with that? Are you going to take a 25-year mortgage out? Are you going to go to university and spend £30,000 to get some bullshit degree that ain't worth nothing? Are you going to be sitting in a little cubicle in an office, tapping into a computer? Are you really going to be doing that? You wouldn't, would you? You'd be doing what I'm doing, and that's basically fuck all. According to the Matrix, I'm doing fuck all to the Matrix, but I'm busy, absolutely chock-a-block busy, 24 hours a day. There's never ever a moment when I'm like, oh, what am I going to do now? No, there's just a myriad of things that I do. And what am I doing? Well, I'm living, I'm being, I'm present, I'm in the now, I'm experiencing my particular facet of God consciousness, and I'm educating myself, and I'm asking questions, and I'm getting inspiration and downloads and all different sorts of things like that. But you see, now look at the sky. Completely transformed again. Nothing like as spectacular as it was 5 minutes ago. So just going to go behind the sun. Now look what's happened here. That was all streaky and all incredible, wasn't it? And now it's gone pretty mundane. And then we look over there, and some people go, oh, that's the chemtrail. That isn't the chemtrail. Look at the length of it. It's only, this long. If it was a chemtrail, it'd be stretched across the sky in all directions. And you know, even this one, you know, looks like it could be a little bit of a chemtrail, but that wasn't there before. That's just a manifestation out of all this different sort of stuff. So when we look at all this different sort of stuff, honestly people, if you don't feel godlike, if you don't feel that you're God, your consciousness is God experiencing this miracle, if you don't feel that, then you have to question what exactly is going on with your psyche. Why is it that you're so closed? Why is it that you don't feel the presence of God? Why don't you feel like God? I feel like God. I felt like God now for many, many years. And much of the literature and religious scriptures that I've read reiterate that we are God. Consciousness is God. And consciousness is dreaming all this stuff, and it's just an unfathomable mystery. It's a miracle. It's incredible. And so how could anybody be bored? How could anybody sit in a tiny little office cubicle? How could anybody commute day in and day out on a stupid tin can tube we call trains or tubes? How could anybody do these things? Only if their minds are dead. And you know, how would they justify it if you said to them, if I went on a train or a tube now and I said, what are you doing here? How many years have you been doing this for? How many years are you going to continue to do it? Oh yeah, well, I've got this mortgage and I've got bills to pay and I've got this and I've got that. Don't you ever feel like just fucking off and living another life? You can, you know. I've lived 1,000 lives. I've travelled many places all over the world and become different beings, different entities with a different state of consciousness. Just doing a whole myriad of things. And then when I was there, I'm like, wow, I'm actually working in a gold mine in Australia. And then on other occasions, I'm working on millionaires' charter yachts, and I'm just having a ball. And then other occasions I'm a scuba diver instructor, you know, just all these different things. This was in Greece. And then I'm, you know, prospecting, you know, property development in Africa and Bulgaria, and all different sorts of things. We can wear so many hats, we can do so much. The world is crazy, it's beautiful. And every time I used to go out into the world, and then after a year or 3 or 4, I'd come back and maybe I'd see some old friends and associates, and I'd tell them about what I've been doing and what I've experienced. What have they been doing? Nothing. You know, they're a little bit older. Same old, same old. And I'm like, boy, oh boy. It's like time stood still. Whew. To have a realization, to be present, to be conscious, people, to be conscious, to be highly conscious and aware of what's going on and what your life is and what it has been and what it could be, and all the different varieties of potential. That all we need to do is just think in a different way and just book a ticket. I just used to book flights randomly anywhere around the world. I used to go into the travel agents with X amount of money in my pocket, and I'd say, where can I go for this amount of money? And they'd go, oh, you can go here, there and everywhere. I'll go, oh, I'll go there. Never been there before. And I wouldn't research it or anything. I'd just stuff a few clothes in a holdall and I'd be there. And then maybe I'd start working there, maybe I'd start setting up my own business. Maybe I would be there fleeting and I'd travel somewhere else. I'd meet different people and all different sorts of things, people. There's just a billion lives that we could be living. And so, yeah, you know, I'm banging on all the time that this is my solution. You're God, you know, create your own reality. That's what we do here. We create our own reality. Even if you don't think you do, you do. And if you don't create your own reality, you leave it to somebody else. You leave it to the idiots in government to tell you what you're going to do with your life. Well, more for you if you've done that with your life. If you've been to university and you've been indoctrinated in some bullshit, and then you just commute or sit in traffic or whatever you do, oh my god, what for, people? What for? Oh yeah, well, I'm working towards my nest egg. Oh well, I hope you don't die of cancer, 2 years before. Seriously, people. I hope you don't lose your legs in a fucking car accident 20 years before. Life's for the living. Fucking live it. Live it. All this bullshit about nest building and when I've paid off my mortgage and I can retire into the country. What, when you're 70 years old, if you ever get that far, and you're completely fucked with gout and arthritis and depression and what have you? A billion things are going to befall you, people. If you are young now and energized, live. That's what I'm saying. I think that's one of the main messages of my videos. Just to be aware, just to be present and realize what you are. And this guy that I'm speaking about, he's called Kripple, Kriple. It might be pronounced Kripple. Who'd say that they're called Kripple? It's one piece, so it may be Kripple. And I forget his first name, but he's wrote lots of books about this supernatural, and saying that people don't realise how powerful they are, and if they allow themselves a little bit more freedom to enter into a certain psychical realm, whether it's by psychedelics or meditation, or whether there are certain catalysts which are happenstance, like trauma, because lots of people, when they suffer trauma, they get shaken outside of their ego, and their spirit, their soul can actually be tossed outside of the body, and they will have an out-of-body experience. And these people, they're never the same again. And so for those of you that are familiar with out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, supernatural experiences, spiritual experiences, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm reading these, big thick-ass books at the moment by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who's writing in the late 1800s, 1875, when she wrote her major work like Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine. And she was doing massive research, all over the world into the supernatural. And even back then, the scientists were poo-pooing it. You're always going to get people that poo-poo this stuff. If you've been trained all your life through certain institutions in academia and science and, logic and math and this, that and the other, you're just not really going to be entertaining the supernatural. Unless, of course, you have an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience, a psychedelic experience, then your whole world will be turned inside out, upside down. And this is why all these scientists, very, very few of them, want to do it, because they wouldn't know what to do with them fucking selves once they've discovered that everything they thought they knew was a fiction. And that's it, and that's why people have been poo-pooing the spiritual dimension for so long. Simply because of this, people. This is the most important line in this video now. Simply because they know that this realm is Maya. It is illusion. We've been being told it's illusion for thousands of years. But more and more, all different sorts of scientists are telling us now that it is Maya. And yet we just don't want to speak about the elephant in the room. We just want to deny it. It's like the three monkeys. The see no fucking Maya, the hear no Maya, and the speak no Maya. But it's coming down, people. It really is coming down, because there's going to be a shift in consciousness. And when this happens, if people aren't a little bit initiated into it, they are going to be in such a turmoil. They really are. People have got to start preparing now, because there's big shifts happening. and start educating yourselves through the supernatural. Start educating yourselves with your own psyche and your own consciousness, and delving into the mysteries of the world. And for goodness sakes, get outside of the mundane and don't be buying into this nest egg business, because you should know by now that they're moving the goalposts all the time. They don't want you to have any nest eggs. They ain't going to be allowing you to have any nest eggs. They're going to be reaping it all like a croupier whenever they want to. And that's what they've been doing for the past, 50 years, very, very intensely. What they do is they crash the economy, and then, like the croupiers, they go, thank you very much for all the material goods. Money isn't worth anything. It's just an idea. But what is worth something is property. And so when you've bought into the whole property thing, and then they just increase the interest rates up and up and up and up till you can no longer afford to pay that fiction of money, then they just go, thank you, this is the banks. And that's why now they own 99% of the world, because they've been doing that forever. And, if you think that, you're going to be safe, you're in a delusion, and you're looking for a heavy fall. And what I can say to you is that the only place you're ever going to be safe is in here. If you're no longer clinging on, if you no longer have attachments, if you no longer have fear about being without any money or without any property, all these different sorts of things. I said to myself many, many years ago, I would never, ever, ever concern myself about starving, because I live in a first world country and people do not starve on the streets. There are always avenues, and in my older videos I was seeking out where we can go when we're homeless, for shelter and for foods and support and all these different sorts of things, and there's a load of places to go. We will never starve, we will never die on the streets. And all these people that are sitting in doorways, they're doing it because they want to. It's a lifestyle that they've chosen, but it's not necessary. And many people in these first world countries, when we have a welfare state, you will be aware to some degree of what is on offer. And it's a choice there, people. We all have choices whether we want to take what's being offered, or we want to slave and strive and stress for what we may consider a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we're all going to meet our maker with empty pockets. And so it doesn't matter whether you've got millions in the bank or nothing, we're going to the same place. So what I would say to you is that if you are still in here, if you are confident in here, if you are fearless in here, if you want for nothing, and you don't feel the need to have bricks and mortar, what you call your own, all around you, and bonds in the bank and all those sorts of things, just bear in mind that you're doing all that out of fear. And so you're living on fear. Fear is the opium of the masses, of course, isn't it? And so once we step outside of fear, once we realize that we are God, at the very least we are a shard of God consciousness, we're immortal people. And so once you know that, then you just enjoy this excursion. Anyway, I'm going to do some meditation whilst I've got about half an hour of sun left.